What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 2, season 3 of How We Bounce Back. I'm fortunate to introduce you one of Hollywood's finest, Virginia Rays, Garfield Praise. He's conquered LA as a marathon runner. Fist pounds with Skip and Shannon at the Fox Sports office. He's Kevin Hart in the making at the Comedy Store and the host of his very own show, Player One Podcast. He's the one and only Tyrone Champ Smith.
Oh man, that's big time. I appreciate that invite or the intro. Excuse me, the invite. Yes, the invite, but that intro is next level, man. I was about to stand up, start shimmying a little bit. Like I'm gonna need that saved, and I'm gonna take that for myself at some point. I'm gonna need that clip.
Hey,
I
I make a
appreciate it.
little snippet on the Player One podcast with the intro music. I'd be honored for that.
Man, you took me back to the Fox Sports and everything. Man, that was dope. That man, you did some research and everything. I respect that big time. I appreciate you.
Been following your journey, bro, on Snapchat, Instagram, ever since we moved here in 2016. But yeah, we'll get into that very soon. I know a lot of your family and friends might be listening. They obviously know who you are. But for those of you that are unfamiliar, can you tell us about yourself and what you've been up to lately?
Okay. Well, as you said, I was born in Virginia, born in Alexandria, raised in Woodbridge, went to school at Old Dominion, Norfolk, Virginia. As soon as I finished, I say a semester after finishing up at Old Dominion, I packed my bags and I flew out to LA.
Woo.
And I was just ready to take one, California dreaming since however long ago. So since then, I mean, the idea was just to chase the opportunity out here. So it's been almost 8 years since leaving Virginia. I say I'm still getting on my feet. A lot of people back home, they'll check me. They're like, "Nah, man, that's home to you. You live out there." It's been 8 years. I'm like, "Yeah, but you know how we are. We're always pushing." So shoot, just been up and at it ever since Virginia. But out here, I was chasing the sports, the sports journey. I was working at Fox Sports for a bit. I was working with Bally Sports for a bit. Working with this. I still work with the LA Clippers. I am a coach for their junior Clipper camp. So pretty much whenever I'm available, they have camps all the time with the youth, and we're just hitting different cities, and I'm out there coaching for them. And recently, I picked up a full-time gig with a nonprofit. It just feels right, getting back, getting involved with the community and everything. So it's like a mentoring type of nonprofit, and yeah, I've been out here just chasing the bag, as they say, staying above water, doing the best I can. Also, I've done stand up. Shout out to you. You were
Woo!
there. You were there. I love you so much because you were there when I hit my. It was pretty much. It started out as a bucket list idea
Oh
to
yeah.
to do stand up, and I got out here. I started doing so, but the bucket list was to perform at the Comedy Store, the world famous Comedy Store. And you got like the Richard Pryors, Red Fox, all the big names have went through the Comedy Store. So I was like, I know this is going to be a long journey. I'm hitting the open mics. I'm like, I'll get there at some point. And along the way, I mean, it didn't take long, and I eventually got booked and performed. And at that point, it's like one of those things where you got to fill the seats. I needed some home crowd advantage, and you pulled up. I remember you sat front row.
Yes, sir.
Like the confidence boost I needed,
Yeah.
it was there. I had people scattered, but you were right there. So like, I'll forever love you for that.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
so for you to be a part of that journey is big time. And so yeah, that was a comedy thing. And shoots, I think I touched about everything. Heavy gamer. I still game to this day. When I get some free time, like I gotta stay productive. But when I get the free
Yeah.
time, I'm hopping on the video games with the gang and doing my thing over there. But yeah, I think that's about everything. Here we are now. I'm a guest on how we bounce back. So like, I think I'm doing all right. I
Yes,
think I'm doing
sir.
all right.
Yes, sir. Hey, love you too, man. I know we're gonna definitely get into it more about the transition and whatnot, especially going from corporate into nonprofit. That is inspirational. I think there's a lot of people want to make that kind of move. And you've also dabbled into the creative side of yourself into standing up comedy. I think I'll get into that more, but that is definitely one of the bravest things anyone could ever do. And we all look up to that. So we met in 2016. For those that don't know, I think some do. We both moved to LA that summer. It's been almost 8 years since. You've done a lot, as you mentioned, walking through everything you've done. I don't think you mentioned this, but you ran 26.2 miles
Uh,
in the City of Angels, which I'm just preparing for a marathon right now. And for all the athletes out there, there's football games that are only an hour long. What is it, like 15-minute quarters? You get breaks, right? Basketball, you get breaks
yeah.
and whatnot. Tennis and golf, you just standing there. I mean, you're swinging.
Is that a sport?
Run,
It's like, no, I'm
run
chilling.
it. Hey, this
I'm chilling.
ain't.
I'm new to golf. I suck at golf. I want to get into it. I'm just
You-
gonna pick at it till
There's no
till I'm complete.
retirement in golf, so we'll be doing
Right.
that when we're much older, especially getting serious with it. But running for a half marathon, 3 hours straight, and then for a marathon, 6 hours straight, you did that. You did that,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you were ever a runner growing up, but that was just amazing. I got a two-part question. This first question: what advice do you have for first-time marathon runners? You do the Nike Run Club every day. I know you play a lot of rec league sports and whatnot. But if someone's like myself, I didn't grow up running. I wasn't in, cross country or whatnot. But running is getting very popular, especially for heart
Mhm.
health, taking care of ourselves, maintaining weight, diet, and just keeping a good weekly exercise. What advice do you have for first time marathon runners?
So first off, I want to shout out my boy Ryan Mason. It was kind of like a team effort. We kind of locked in to do the marathon, and he was on the East Coast the whole time. So we pretty much found this program online and printed it out, and it gave you a schedule, and we pretty much try to stick to the schedule the best you could. A lot of water. You got to drink the water every
Mhm.
day, all day. That has to be for sure a thing. But you got to get the movement, and I would say uh the schedule, it would say week one, you got to do run 4 times the week within the week. They'll give you like one, maybe two rest days, depending on how tough the week can be. But the weeks gradually grow on
Mhm.
the distance that you cover. So you pretty much, if you want to really run this marathon and go for a time, or just like kind of, make sure you're more than prepared, I would say just try to find like a training program or
Mhm.
something, just a schedule to stick to. It's really discipline. I was waking up early, or I would save the end of my days, because running takes time, and as you get deeper into the schedule, you're running further distances. So I would say the first few weeks you're hitting 3 miles, 4 miles, and then at the end of the week they would have like a longer run. It'd be like 6 miles, and
Yeah.
then the next week all those numbers would bump up just a tad bit. And it pretty much did that. I think the program we had was 4 or 5 months. We kind of started late. I think we committed at like almost 4 months out, maybe
Mhm.
less. Um, I think it was like 4 to 5 months out. So it was pretty much sticking to the script. There were
Mhm.
days, I will even throw out there that I did not stick to the script as I'm saying to. I just think do your best to stick to the script. I'll say that.
Mhm.
There were
Mhm.
days where I'd have to cover 10 miles and I'm only gonna cover 7, just because
Yeah,
you learn your body as this
I
process
get it.
goes. You
Mhm.
really start to become one with yourself. This marathon training is no joke. Running a marathon is no joke. I'm my bad for skipping over that whole thing. Like, now you're taking me back into it. I'm like, man, how deep of a, like, the how
Uh-huh.
intense it was to lock in for that. There were days, I remember there was a day on the schedule, it wanted me to do 22 miles. So I was like, okay, my Saturday morning was circled. I canceled Sunday plans because you
Mm-hmm.
really lock in, you're like throwing everything out. And then eventually people around you will understand, don't even invite that person no more. He's locked
Mm-hmm.
in.
Mm-hmm.
Your eating habits have cleaned up a bunch because you could feel what you eat and you go out there and run the next day, you can feel like, yo, that's slowing me down, or I feel better, I feel stronger today. So you really like focus on everything. So I was in the best shape of my life. I will say that. I seen videos of myself around the time of the marathon. And like nowadays, I'm looking at it like, man, how did I get away from that? I need to get back to that. But there were back to the 22-mile day. I was supposed to cover the 22. I got out there and I think I was at mile like 14, but I was far from the house. Where, the best part about it is if you are able to, you can just kind of walk out your front door and start your distance. So I would trick myself, I would set myself up, I would take myself just away from home. And it's like, yo, you get to the certain point, that turnaround point, you have to get home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, I'm 6 miles away from home. I'm gonna get back. That's gonna be 12. So I was doing things of that sort. But for the 22 miles, I don't remember what number it was, but I realized I was a little too far from home. And I was like, I'm not gonna make it if I go any further. And so I turned around and I got back home and I finished at 17 and a half miles. I remember that day. And that day when I finished, I felt great because it was over, but I also beat myself up about it because I knew I was supposed to hit 22. And I was just like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the 26. Like, if I can't do this 22, there's still multiple miles left. So, it's really just I'll say I didn't let it beat me up for too long. I just, okay, 17 is better than none. The next day, my next day, starting that next week, whatever the distance is, I'm just gonna have to make sure I cover it or maybe try to do a little more. And I'll be honest, I don't think I did any more than what was on the schedule. I feel like I kind of went a went along with just sticking to what they had. But man, just finding that program and trying to stick to it, I think that would be the best advice because it kind
Mm-hmm.
of you have your mini battles leading up to the war of the marathon. So yeah, I think that would be bad. It was like a quick Google search, honestly. There's a bunch online, but you
Yeah.
kind of see some and you're like, I can't stick to that. I think that the one we had was titled Marathon Training for Beginners.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Mm-hmm.
was as simple as it got. It didn't have anything about eating. We were doing our own research on what's good, what's not.
Mm-hmm.
And, you do realize the water intake is crucial.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm carrying a gallon of water everywhere I go. Nowadays, I used to never really drink water, but when I started training for the marathon, now give me a bottle of water, I'm probably gonna chug it. Like
Same.
it's easy to drink water nowadays. So I do think a marathon is something everybody should do at least once in their lifetime. I will throw that out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
More so the discipline, you teach yourself that you kind of it's up to you. It's if you want to take this serious or not, it's up to you. But then the feeling of crossing that finish line, I've never felt anything like it. That was different. And I'm
Yeah.
getting goosebumps talking about it. Like that's different. So I'm excited for you. I'm happy that you're into this. Like I'll probably pull up. If I'm not doing anything, I'll pull up for your marathon. Like this is something monumental, I'm telling you. So but yeah, to answer the question, sticking to a program, just giving yourself like some discipline and sticking to it, I think that'll be your best route to take.
That's awesome. Yeah, we just finished 13 miles and I'm like, man, I can't feel anything in my legs. My feet are giving out. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, me and my wife, we gotta use the bathroom before. Like, how you gonna hold your pee for 6 hours? I found out there was porta potties on that run. I'm like, oh
Yes.
god, all right.
Yeah. We
I don't.
found out we found out early. Me and Ryan, because we ran it together. Like we stuck
Yeah.
together most of the way through. Towards the end, I was slowing us down. It got to
Ah,
a point where Ryan knew if he stayed back with me, we were gonna take all the time we needed. But he was just built. I know where I messed up. I'm gonna throw this out there too. We had some hoodies. We wore because it's cold the
Oh
morning of.
man, yeah. That's you gotta throw them out on that run.
Yes. I was like, no, I'm so comfortable in here. Why would I do that? I'm telling you, I went past mile 6, I think like 14 or 15. And the run club that I go to, shout out to Keep It Run 100.
Okay.
They're out in Inglewood. They do Culver City. They do other locations, but those are the 2 locations I hit mostly. But they had a tent set up out there. We get to the tent. I think we're like mile 14 or something. I still have my hoodie on, and everybody's like, "Yo, take that off." And at this point, like I'm soaked underneath, so I know if I take this off, it's gonna be cold. And I was like, I don't want to, but I listened and I took it off. But that was a problem since I wore it for so long. I
Uh-huh.
feel like I sweat everything out of me, and I was just like drained. I was dehydrated
Man,
early in the
yeah.
race. So that was a tough part. But again, back to like where Ryan, he kind of pushed forward and I wasn't gonna let him leave me. So that kind of pulled me to run and catch up and
Yeah.
keep up the best I could. Man.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean they say they people throw out the clothes on the side. People wear socks as gloves because they're like, I don't want to throw my gloves away. I'm gonna throw these socks out and whatnot.
and
So
see, I knew nothing about that. I
yeah,
saw that when we
yeah,
started, because we started at Dodger Stadium, and then people are
yeah.
throwing the hoodies. I'm telling you, I had the whole Player One marathon. I did like a whole
Oh, you
fundraiser
had the
and
whole apparel.
everything.
Yeah. You had the logo.
Yeah, so we
Okay.
had the hoodies, we had our
Yeah.
run shirts,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no, like I got these custom made. It took a lot of work to get this stuff put together. I'm not throwing it. Why are they throwing their hoodies over the fence? And I
Yeah.
was like, no, I'm keeping this. So then when I eventually took it off, I wrapped it around my waist, but I was like, I'm not throwing it. This is my first time wearing it. Why would I do that?
I hear that.
But you
I'll
like, so
hold it in my hand or tie it around my waist. Yeah.
something. Yeah, they got. I found they have like those aluminum foil jacket things. Go get you one of those because in the morning everybody
Oh.
had one, and you can just throw that out and you'll be okay.
Ah, okay.
I didn't know nothing about it. I'm telling you, we came in this thing not knowing much about it. Like
And
it was, it was a challenge.
that LA sun can come out of nowhere and change the temperature quickly. I know what you mean.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. You brought up player one, so you know that was coming up. I think everyone that follows you, your family and friends, myself, watch your show Player One podcast, where you break down plays for the Ravens and their opponents. You make game day vlogs going to SoFi Stadium, which I don't know if people realize it. Putting up this kind of content takes a lot of energy, thought process, willingness to be bold, and people think it's too easy or they just don't understand. So, my question to you: what are the rewards and challenges when creating content and sharing your stories online?
So I think with social media, how we are in contact with so many people and we don't even know it. When we post something, all of your friends who you may have not spoken to in so long, they're able to see and kind of stay up to date. It's gotten to a point, living in LA, I'm sure you have your friends from
Mhm.
across the country who are like always want to visit. They always want to check in what you've been up to, this and that. So the podcast, in a way, it's me being lazy towards these conversations. It's like, yo, I love y'all, but if you want to kind of catch up to see what I've been up to, I put together this show
There you
and
go.
you can kind of just, yeah,
Yeah,
like you
you
can
get it.
kind of just see what I've been up to. And we can skip all the small talk and it saves me my breath. And
Yeah.
but like with being bold and everything, when I first dropped the podcast, I will say I was inspired working at Fox Sports.
Mhm.
Um, I'm telling you, I'm at the break room. I'm clocking in at 4 a.m. because what I used to do, I was working with the studios on the East Coast for the shows that ran at 7 in the morning over there. So we were like the main hub, the media hub. So someone had to be on call. I was the guy who was able to, I kind of volunteered because it was either that or the night shift, and
Mhm.
I wanted my evenings. And so I was like, I'll take this shift. But as I'm working these early mornings, I'm seeing Skip, Shannon,
Mhm.
Colin Coward, everybody, the special guests. I've seen so many celebrities in the hallways and where I was set up right outside the studio. they pretty much had to say what's up to me walking past. So
Hmm.
it's been a great like experience working there. But my thing was where I kind of was inspired was I would take my lunch breaks and go hit the gym on our little, I call it campus on the lot. And there was I'm not gonna name them, but there was a few of the folks from the shows, and they would go and hit the gym and we're working out, they're doing their thing. Some former athletes, some are just guys who been in media so long
Yeah.
that they've built up their resume to be on the platform. And then it's gotten to a point where we're in the locker room and small talk, they've seen the consistency. Like we would not talk, but you know, when you see somebody cross paths more than enough, it's like, okay, what's up? How you doing?
Yeah.
Now conversations are happening. Now I'm telling I'm in the locker, I'm changing, and dude's like talking to me, and this is someone who's on TV, and I'm like, dude, like I'm trying to get ready to get back to work. I don't have my shirt on right now. Like let me let me do this. But seeing how these people are just like us,
Hmm.
and I'm clocking in this early, and I'm going. We had behind the set, behind the stage, there was like I learned about it later. It took me a while, but somebody, a vet, I call him my OG at Fox Sports. He told me that they had the crazy snack room, like the where all the coffee and all the fruits and everything was behind stage. So once I started going there to get my morning breakfast and everything, I'm talking with Colin Coward. Well, he's talking with me. I'm
Wow.
telling you, he's like just wrapping my ear. It's 5 in the morning. He just came back from vacation and he's telling me about it type of thing. And I'm like, dude, like it's 5 in the morning. Let me get my banana and go back to my seat. Like, so seeing that these people were everyday people, and then I'm watching these shows as I'm dealing with the clips from the media and all that, I'm like, yo, these guys are coming up with these opinions. I'm hearing these same questions. I'm watching these same segments, but different shows. I'm like, why can't I do my own? So I went,
Hmm.
and that's how I started the Player One podcast. But since then, it's kind of grown, it's changed over time. And right now, I'm in football mode. I call it the Ravens RPO with the
Hmm.
Player One podcast. So, like football season, I'm locked in all Ravens talk. On the off season, I have a whole different format, and I'm talking about what's happening in LA, what's going on with my life. But pretty much was inspired by just seeing it being done around me. And then also you have all these people who knew I worked at places like that. So the lazy side, back to the lazy idea where it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna put together these episodes. And if you want to chat and catch up, you could tune in and then we can
Hmm.
kind of be on the same page in a way. It's my turn to hear what you got going on, but you don't have to hear me and I don't have to repeat myself to different people. So that's been a thing. But the whole putting myself out there, that has been tough. But when I was doing the stand-up comedy, I think that helped me grow overall as a person, just like with confidence and everything, because like you said, the bravery it takes, I it took a lot. One of my really close friends, Mauricio Ogando, he passed away some years back. He was at the show you were at. He
Hmm.
was
Yeah.
the guy who kind of, I called him my writer. He was the guy I would trade joke ideas with, and he would give me feedback. He would come to all the open mics. Um, for him to get me on the stage, he was like, "Yo, I will come to this open mic with you because you're
Wow.
funny. You need to get on stage." But he was like, I'll get on stage. If that's going to help you get on stage, I'll go up here and say some jokes myself. So he did it. And I was like, okay, I got to hold my end of the deal. I went up there, and then that's where I was like, okay, this is fun. I could do this some more. And then from there, just kind of stuck to it. But that, once I started doing the stand up, I kind of started caring less about what I was posting and like worrying about what people were thinking, because I was like, I just felt like I had so much going on. I'm moving forward. I post this, but I'm already moving on to the next. So it's like, okay, you felt that way or however you feel, that's some old stuff right there. Sure. But I've moved on. New episode coming out in a few days or whatever. But
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, it's like it's been a process though. Posting things and kind of worrying about what people are thinking and such. I do watch it, just it's led to me thinking more before I speak. I will say back then I would just kind of say whatever, if I'm thinking it's funny. But nowadays, you know how people get picked apart for anything they say. So I definitely think more before I speak because I'm not trying to get canceled or none of that. But I think it's just been a thing over time, just kind of the repetition of just doing it over and over to where it's like, okay, I don't really care to hear an opinion unless you're doing something similar
Hmm.
or anything like that. Because I'm open. I love when people give me feedback. I beg for feedback on any of my episodes. I tell them comment, message me,
Yeah.
call me,
Yep.
tell me what you think. Uh, I actually kind of folded this or molded the podcast into the Ravens RPO for the season strictly because I kind of played with the idea, and then I talked to our boy Simo, and he
Hmm.
had told me a story about somebody he knows who did kind of something similar with the Commanders, and now the Commanders like they host him at games and stuff. So I was like, oh
Mm-hmm.
shoot, lock in like that. I'm gonna
Hmm.
lock in like this with my squad and see, see if something maybe down the line, who knows how long it's gonna take, but I do think I spend a lot of time and energy into the Ravens and what they have going on. So I was like, why not just kind of put this stuff somewhere? So later on in life or something, I could be like, oh yeah, I've been a fan, like
Hmm.
such a fan to where I have this, and then I can kind of go back in time and see where my thoughts was or where they were towards whatever was going on. So I think it's just a matter of like just the repetition, and then the more you do it, you kind of start worrying less about the outside noise.
All right, champ. Let's get into deeper questions. So, can you tell us about a time where you failed miserably, either during your time in LA, in college, growing up, any time where you failed miserably, and what the process was climbing out of that?
Um, there's multiple. I have multiple answers. Part of it could be me just being super harsh on myself, but also I think it was the learning process of understanding how things happen for a reason. But I'll say Fox Sports. I have two examples. So Fox Sports will be one, and then I'll talk about a stand-up bombing on stage. So Fox Sports, there's a thing, working in the corporate world. They don't play any games over there. It's so cutthroat to be within was such a huge opportunity. I kind of let myself get comfortable, but also at the same time, I love what had happened. So there was a whole issue one day. It became to a point where a coworker who was a position higher than me, but we didn't really work together. We were within the same team, but there was just a day where the one time I came in late to work, I mentioned earlier I was working at 4 a.m. shift.
Hmm.
I was the first. We would rotate on that shift. All shifts were being rotated. We had like a staggered schedule. I it was up for volunteer for that 4 a.m. shift because nobody wanted to. I volunteered to try it out and then I liked it. And then the next go round, I said I'll keep it because I adjusted my schedule. It opened things up to where I could do my open mics, my stand-up activities in the evenings and anything else I had going. So I just owned up to that 4 a.m. shift. I was the most consistent at getting there on time. Um, my attendance was amazing, but there was one day where I stayed down at a friend's place down in Orange County, so
Hmm.
like an hour and some change away. And I was like, I'm gonna crash at his place and just drive up early in the morning, never traffic, so it wasn't an issue. While I was there, I had my keys placed somewhere. His family was over, and his family member moved my keys without
Oh,
mentioning anything. So in the morning, it's 3 in the morning. I can't find
man.
my keys. It got to a point where I'm like, okay, I have to call out. I call out. Well, I was like, I have to tell them I'm coming in late. So pretty much, I come in late. I'm like 3 hours. I had to wait till the sun came up so I could search everything. And then as people woke up, then I was told where the keys were moved to. Um, I get to work 3 hours, 4 hours later. All the only difference was they called in the next person and said, come in earlier. The person usually comes in at 7. He was upset
Hmm.
he had to come in at like 5:30 or whatever. I get to work. I'm talking to a coworker. Like I set up in my station and then I step away and I'm talking to my coworker. He's like, yo, what happened? I'm telling him what's going on. And then this guy spoke to me in a way. He was like, yo, you got emails, like go get it all caught up. And the thing was, I skimmed through, I seen what was on my plate. I had the room to kind of take a second and talk. It was already a thing where I could have just called out for the day, but I decided to come in, take my portion of the work to help the team out. I'm late, that's on me, but I still wanted to help the team because if I didn't show up, that's more workload for everybody. So I still went to work, whatever. A few minutes passed, I'm still talking a little bit, and then the dude was like, yo, you need to go to your station. You were late today. You're 3 hours late. And you come in here and act like pretty much he put me on blast. We're in an area. I'm telling you, we were right outside the studio. We have multiple work groups around us. He calls me out, raises his voice, tells my business to everyone in the room. And I was like, damn, okay, dad. And when I mentioned dad, it just that was a tipping point for him. And
Mm-hmm.
pretty much I let that get the best of me. Again, this is a cutthroat organization. He's higher than me in our position. I
Mm-hmm.
should have let it slide. I should have just, well, it's hard to let something like that slide, but as a man to man, I couldn't let that go so easily. So I made the comment and I was like, damn, okay, dad. And I went to my seat and everybody hears and stuff. And he got up from his seat and said, don't you ever call me dad again. I should have not done anything, but I stepped up out of my seat and I was like, or what? I'm in a office. I'm at Fox. I cannot do stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
He challenged me and I stepped up like, what's up? Like, you're not going to do this with me. He storms off. 5 minutes later, our supervisor comes up, asks me to go on a walk with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm in trouble. So we go on a walk. He says some stuff and kind of puts everything on me. After I told him the whole layout, I said, yo, I know I was late. You know I'm never late. We could check my record. First time I'm ever late. And he puts my info on blast with all these people around, which was uncalled for. And then I'm in the wrong. And so I spazzed on him. I'm spazzing on my supervisor. I'm telling you, I lost my cool. So pretty much I get written up. I'm put on one of those I forgot it was like a probation thing where I have to meet with the manager every other week and
Mm-hmm.
check my progress and stuff. And pretty much at this point, I was destined for an exit to where if I had one mishap here, one mishap there, a typo, anything, they're writing me up for it. So not long after that, I'm let go from Fox Sports. That was like my first big role
Mm-hmm.
and I'm out here in LA. I landed that job pretty quickly while being out here. So I'm at this point, I don't know what to do. Rent. I got rent to cover. I have a car note. Everything crashed so fast. So my whole thing was I'm in panic mode. I'm thinking I have to move back to Virginia. I didn't know what I was gonna do. The job market. This is not long. I got let go kind of while we were in quarantine, towards the end of quarantine. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
finding a job in that period, I'm like, yo, I'm just gonna be another person who leaves LA. I was like, I felt like I was a failure. I didn't want to have to leave, not on my terms.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just me kind of against the world at that point. So my whole thing was I just had to kind of take a minute and like cool out and just go through the process of finding work, this and that. I It took some time. I found ways to hustle. At the time, we had Uber Eats. A lot of people not
Mm-hmm.
leaving the crib, so that was booming. I found ways. I found ways. So it was working out to where I eventually then I landed a job with the Clippers, a job with Bally Sports, and they're both like the schedules were all over the place, but I was able to make them both work. So I kind of got picked back up, and now the Clippers, just a name like that, the LA Clippers,
Mm-hmm.
and then Bally Sports, another name like that. So I'm like, well, dang, I thought everything was over with there,
Mm-hmm.
but it would just kind of just come in to one with myself, just kind of understanding things happen for a reason. I just had to take that moment. It was a long moment. It felt like everything was over, but just kind of being able to weather the storm and deal with it, and go through the motions and get back and bounce back. And then now to where I am today, I couldn't say that I would be doing half the stuff that I've done if I didn't leave Fox Sports. So leaving Fox Sports kind of opened up for me to kind of start being creative. I was doing it
Mhm.
some then, but now I've done more than I ever imagined I would. The vlogs and such, and working with the Clippers, the connections that have come from that, and Bally's, the people I met along the way. So that. Just kind of being able to accept and not think, the world is against me, and not just accept defeat. So I just stuck through it, found something else, and made that. Example two would be when I'm doing stand up, you have open mics. It's a process to get a show, to get a spot in the show. For me, it was just I was just going to open mics, going to open mics, going to open mics. Then one time I had a set at an open mic that had the crowd rolling, and it's hard to get laughs. I think the open mic is tougher than the actual shows. I feel like the crowd, because at the open mics nobody's really tuned in. They're all worried about what they have to go
Mhm.
up and say. They don't really give you that engagement you're looking for to know if your jokes hit or not. But this set, it just worked. I caught their attention. They were listening. And then somebody from the crowd, after I went back to my seat, somebody from the crowd came up to me. I was like, "Hey, do you want to bring that set to one of my shows? I got a show coming up." I was like, "What? That set? I didn't even think that set was good. It was just blew my mind how it worked out. That set was cool." Um, what I'm getting to with that is there were times, like just a few times before that, where I bombed. I'm telling you, I bombed open mics. I'm just learning the whole process, and it felt like the worst. I thought I had the jokes that were gonna kill them. None of them worked. None of them hit. I was like, yo, this is the worst time I've ever spent up on this stage, and it's just everybody staring at you. And the lights are bright in your face, so you can't really see, but you could kind of see. If you like get under the lights, you can see, and I'm like looking under the lights. I'm like, yo, these people are grilling me. They are not
Oh
happy at
man,
all. And
man.
I was like, yo, I thought these jokes were gonna hit. And it just made me reconsider the whole thing. And this was after my homie had passed. So like I didn't have that guy in my background. That's a part, that's a whole thing of its own where I kind of gave up on the idea of stand-up. But I felt it wouldn't do him justice if I quit on it. So I felt like I need to get back up there and do that because he would want me to continue pursuing it. So I'm out there and then I'm failing and I'm like, yo, like this is
Mhm.
not fun at all. I don't have my homie to back me up. I'm out here by myself. This is just not working. This maybe not for me. But then a few times later, I go and people are coming to me out the crowd like, yo, you want to bring that to a show? You want to bring that to a show? So it's just a matter of kind of sticking to it. Like
Mhm.
things are gonna happen, you're gonna fail. You don't get better. You know how they say you turn your L's into lessons. As cliche as that sounds, really that's the truth. You just gotta figure out you won't learn if you don't experience. So
Mhm.
you go out here, you lose. Now you have something like film. If this is football, what did I do wrong there? How can I
Mhm.
get better? You know what you did. You can just kind of review what you went through. Next time, I'll make sure not to do this, not to do that. And pretty much both with work, the work world, with the creative world, just taking these L's and just not giving up. And it's just like, man, that's that one day or that one situation. I'm gonna get back up there tomorrow,
Mhm.
or I'll find another open mic. I'll go to a different location, try open mic. Maybe they'll laugh at my jokes over there. But either way, can't just kind of beat yourself up about things. So it's just been kind of sticking to it more so.
Mhm. I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
anyone would be brave enough to say I had Uber Eats or DoorDash
Hey,
during
I
the time.
love. Hey, shout out to Uber Eats, man. That's it sucks some days. Like to this day, I will still clock in if I don't have anything on the schedule and I have some free time. It's like, why would I sit around the crib and kind of do nothing? I game. I tell you, I game quite a bit, but there's times where it's like, okay, too much gaming. Let me go make a few bucks. It's
Yeah,
there's so many people out there
quick
just
way to make money.
spending money
Yeah,
to go pick up some food on a
yeah,
Sunday where there's no traffic.
yep,
I'll go do that. That's nothing. So
yeah.
yeah, so like I own up to that. I've done that. I've worked for Amazon delivering packages.
Uh,
The longest 4 months of my life, I'll tell you that. That hey, they
the
worked
Amazon
them for
delivery schedules be on a whole nother hour, the 25th hour of the day.
Hey, shout out to all the Amazon drivers, UPS, all them delivery drivers. Y'all need to put everyone out there listening, put
Yeah.
respect on those folks. When you see them, kind of just
Okay.
don't
Yeah.
give them a hard time. Get out their way. They are delivering 200 plus packages within
Sheesh.
a shift. And they have people, they have cameras in these vans that we're driving. I'm telling you, I'm in a neighborhood where you have a single family home after single family home. And it's to a point where like I don't want to buckle up to scoot up a few homes.
Uh-huh.
And the camera snitched on me to where my manager sends me video of myself driving. I'm in here, I got music blasting and stuff. I did not know the camera was like working like that. I'm telling you, I hop in, get the box, take it, hop back out. And then he sends me video and was like, yo, you can't drive without buckling up. I'm like, what? I went from two houses up. I scooted up two houses, and y'all are talking about my seatbelt. And then I
uh,
got you on schedule where they're like, yo, you need to pick up the pace. You need to pick up the pace. That Amazon stuff is crazy. So yeah, like these odd jobs, I'll to survive in LA, man. I feel like a lot of people, and they won't speak on it, but odd jobs are a thing.
you mentioned also that you have lost loved ones that were close to you, as I have as well in recent years.
Mhm.
How has loss of a family member, friend, even a pet, anyone that you're close with, how has a loss affected the way you deal with failure?
Um, I stopped sitting on failure as long, I would say. I caught myself in slumps,
Hmm.
and just the trying to kind of get back to what I would say normal is, or like get back on pace. That was such a fight in itself. So I've kind of learned in a way like, yo, sitting here and just beating myself up because things aren't going my way is not gonna pay off. If anything, it's just gonna slow me down even more. So I've kind of gotten to like, I guess tougher. I don't know what to really call it. I've just kind of learned to accept and adapt and just take it on like, okay, it is what it is. I'm not gonna wake up tomorrow and it's gonna change back to how I had it. It's gonna be what it is, and I have to continue pushing forward. And whoever it was that I lost, they wouldn't want me to beat myself up. They
Hmm.
would want the best for me. So
Hmm.
in honor of their name, it's like, yo, I can't let them down. If they're watching me, watching over, as I do feel like now that's just one more person in my backfield. Like that's they're here cheering me on. So if anything, it should be able to like help me continue pushing. Like how you was there when I took back to the whole comedy store, you was there front row. I just feel like it was now me plus you against the room. So
Hmm.
like it's things like that. It's like, all right, like these people believe in me, whether they're here or not. They believed in me. I can't let them down. You being there. There was a joke. I remember I had a joke. It was weird because I had this joke with like two punchlines for it. And the first one I think was my best punchline for it, but it didn't hit that night. And but you being there, like I said it and like you laughed to it, but there was these two people to your left, and I needed them to laugh. I got laughs from everywhere, but I needed them to buy in.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, they haven't laughed at the first one. That was my good one. But then I followed up with the next one, and they did laugh at that one. And that's another thing with the whole comedy thing. Like
Yeah.
you think this is it. You think that is it, but it's not. It's like it can be. I've gotten punchlines created off of just freestyling along with what I had planned, and then learning, dang, I'm keeping that. I'm using that next go round. But it's just like having you in the corner. If I would have said that and you were not sitting there, ain't no telling if I would have maybe lost. Like, I have my chest out because I had my people with me, but the confidence might not have shown as much. I might have
Yeah.
been, a little more, and then I can't sell the jokes as much. So ain't no telling how things would have kind of flowed flowed from there. So
For sure.
just like with the people who are here, who are not, I know they're in my corner. They want me to continue pushing. And I just kind of feel like just in life, we're all on our own stage. We all have our battles, our daily battles. You're your main character.
Mm-hmm.
You wake up every day, you deal with everything you got. You have battles you're going through
Mm-hmm.
daily. I have battles. The next person has battles. So it's like, I'm not gonna sit here and try to pour my issues onto anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
What do they care? It's me. Either I go and get something done or I don't. So it's kind of just like, well, if anything, I know they're with me more than ever. They were when they were here on this earth, they might have had their battles going on. We didn't communicate as much, but now I know I can
Mm-hmm.
really like talk to them. I can call on them. I know, like, I can
It's
think,
huge.
I can feel. So it's like, it's just things of that sort. It's like, well, you know, you may lose the person, but you gain an angel. And it's just that angel in your corner, on your shoulder. So nowadays, when things happen, excuse me, nowadays, when things happen, I'm just like, all right, how can we, like in football, that play didn't work. What's the next play? You got a play clock. You kind of got to keep it moving. You can't really sit here. You're gonna get delayed games. Now it's even harder to get that first down. So I'm not gonna sit here and beat myself up about whatever my issue is. It's kind of just like you got to keep pushing forward.
Mm-hmm. Really commend everything that you've done. I'm trying to think of a lot of people that go above 3-year plans moving to cities. I don't even know people that get past 5, and
Hmm.
you and I are at a 8 right now,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you maybe
We brothers out here, man. We out here
yes,
like
yeah,
we really taking it on. And
yeah,
one
yeah,
thing like I want to throw out there, or two things, a way like a process, another process. This is why I try to push the idea of getting out and moving and going on runs and such. When
hmm
you have those mental battles, going outside and running, that is a challenge in its own to where you get the time to think. It gets your brain flowing. You start
hmm
coming up with ideas of how you can deal with things. Your creative juices get flowing and such. And then it gets to a point where you get yourself so tired,
yeah,
you get back, you're like, why was I stressing over that? Like
yep, yeah,
you kind of run it out of the system. So like exercise and all of that. I like there's lifting weights. People like to lift weights, but I had my time of lifting. I don't like to lift as much nowadays, but running, when it comes to like the mental challenge we have daily, especially being out in LA, how competitive and how fast paced it is out here, that running is huge, man. And then
hmm
also back to us being out here, the challenge, we have these everyday lives. We're living our lives. We're doing our best. We don't get to hang out. We rarely see each other, but
hmm
it's always this thing when we do get to see each other, how comfortable of a setting we allow it to be. Because it's like folks I've met out here, I go out and hang out, it just doesn't feel the same. We can relate. I mean, it's mutuals who brought us together and such, but once we got to know each other ourselves individually, it's we continued the party. Like the party has
hmm
continued. We have each other and we know, I know we haven't seen each other since the Clippers game.
hmm
Uh, but you know, a phone call away, a text away. I know if I really do need somebody, I have you. So it's like it's things
appreciate
like
that.
that. It's just like that battle, that daily battle. Like you said, you live with your wife, who's going to be better to be
hmm
with, and you still have that self, like, you know, that self battle like
Yep,
with yourself or whatever's going on. So it's like it's tough. And I think it is for, I mean, it's not just LA, being in LA, it's people everywhere out there dealing
sure.
with that type of stuff, but it's like having the people involved with your life. One thing I've started utilizing way more is FaceTime.
hmm
FaceTime does wonders. Like
Better than a phone
I
call.
lost, yeah, I lost
Mm-hmm.
so much time being on FaceTime. Not lost, but like I have plans on my day and I'll take a FaceTime, and then next thing I know, I done lost the window to do whatever it was I was gonna do.
hmm
But I hang up that phone call feeling 10 times better than I was. And it's just like being that one phone call away and having those people in your lives, that's also a part. It's like knowing who you have and just kind of utilizing those outlets.
For sure, for sure. I know we had, gone through a lot of things in dealing with a journey on our own, ourselves, not regretting life decisions, really focusing when our backs up are against the wall, and you have done so much of that. If there's one big piece of advice that, just one, that's a question I always ask on the show. If there's one big piece of advice that you want to tell the audience, what would that be?
It's gonna sound cliche, but it's true. Uh, do what makes you happy. Uh, my example is I have this podcast, the Player One podcast. It's available on YouTube. If y'all want to follow it, anybody who wants to see some more, hear some more, I have a story time with Hollywood where I just talk. This is in the off season. When it's not the football season, I have my format where at the end of the show, I wrap it up with a story
Uh-huh.
from an experience in Hollywood, a little LA in general, but the whole Hollywood Champa is my Instagram handle and such. But it's kind of just doing what makes you happy. I love putting out these episodes, whether it's going to reach 5 people, whether it surprisingly will reach over 100 people. And to get feedback and stuff, it makes me feel like, okay, that was worth it. I'm so glad I did it, things of that sort. But like, if I don't do something, there's a thing I like to play basketball. And when I can, wherever I can, I'll try to find a place to go and hoop somewhere out here. The process, the idea of kind of going and getting ready and driving to where I have to drive, I'm like, oh, I don't really want to do that. But then there's the days where I'm like, I'm gonna do that, and I get there and I go play basketball. At the end of it, I feel like whatever my problems were, I probably forgot about them. It's like that's not that big a problem anymore because I'm happy. I got I got to go do something I love to do. And then like with the podcast, it's not I don't have 1,000 subscribers or whatever. I don't know what a goal would be for anyone. They
Mm-hmm.
might have their own imaginary goal if they were to do a podcast and needs to hit these numbers. I don't have a real goal. I mean, I want them to increase,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not like a timetable on when I need it to be a certain amount of numbers or subscriptions, whatever. But it's just a process. Like when I have someone like you who comments, who mentions that you watched, even if it was just one episode, I'm like, man, he took the time. Whatever episode it was at least like 12 minutes. It could have been one of those episodes where I couldn't stop talking. And it's like I might have hit like 40 minutes. But the fact that you gave it a little bit of effort to even just tune in and click play, that makes me feel a certain way. So it's like doing what makes you happy, really just go and do it. Everyone, I mean, at the end of the day, this is I don't want to make it dark, but like there's this saying or it's like, well, when you pass away, you're gonna be by yourself.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like, well, if I'm going into my grave, like I want to be able to be with myself and be like, well, I'm so glad I dropped that episode or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever. It's just I'm glad I got to play basketball that one last time
Mm-hmm.
when I almost did not. When I go and do the stand-ups, when I do the open mics, if I bomb, I'm like, even there's no feeling whether I bomb or I do great. The feeling of walking off the stage and being able to be like, I did it. That's such a great feeling. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like it kind of doesn't really matter what happens up there. Of course, you mad because whatever material I had just didn't work. So I'm like, oh, I need to throw this away or I'm try another day or something. But it's just a feeling that I went and did it because there's people out there like you who gave me so much praise for doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was just doing it personally. I have people who are mad at me because out here in LA and they were like, you never invited me to your open mics. I'm like, yo, the open mics, I'm just trying to prepare so when I have a show, my jokes are funny. I don't want to bring you to something where I don't even know if the jokes are funny. And I
Mm-hmm.
love the support, but it's like I want to be able to put on a show for these people. But to someone else, it might be they might admire you so much for whatever it is that you do. So it's like it kind of shouldn't matter to yourself if people care or not. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure someone out there is going to admire whatever it is that
Mm-hmm.
you do that keeps yourself happy. So it's just doing what makes you happy. Do what makes you happy. Don't worry about all that. Handle your business and stuff, but find your time to do whatever it is that makes you happy.
Yeah, for sure. The years of regret will sting way longer than the years of experiencing failure. So might as
Yes.
well just do what makes you happy, like you said, whether you're gonna succeed, whether you're gonna fail. But I think we both been there, just not, taking the leap of faith.
Mhm.
Well, that can go past the grave. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, well, I have one more last question before we sign off, champ.
Okay.
You posted a very creative Instagram reel on Christmas Day when the Ravens beat the 49ers.
Uh-huh.
What was it? I'm not hip to all the TikTok
Uh-huh.
dances. It was like the super shimmy, the stanky leg, but
Look, I seen
yeah.
that video and thought it was hilarious, and I just thought to add to it would be even
I-
more hilarious if I tried to do the dance. I don't know what the dance is called. It was just a video of some guy who does like you said, like a super shimmy.
That's my dog. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, that's my dog. And
My
like,
question was, can we see you do the dance right now? Can we see it?
uh, that's
I
hey, can we like pull up
will.
the
I will
clip or something?
yeah. I'll put the clip on the video. But go
Please.
ahead. Let's see
I
the dance.
I'm telling you, I
Let's
don't
scoot
know if
that
I
chair back. Like
hey, that's crazy. Let me see. Let me see.
hey. That's
So
my dog.
it was just
That's my
like,
dog. That's
that's
my
it.
dog.
Uh,
That's my
that's it. That's not,
dog.
that's
Hey, bro,
that's
you
funny.
choreographed that so well with that old pops dancing in that video. Oh, he had the craziest shimmy stanky leg move. It was
I needed
wild.
that win to happen at the end of the game because like I knew this is gonna be my next post. I knew it. So I needed us to seal the deal. And what was crazy was I had started recording it because I was at the crib watching the game and we're handing
Oh
it to
no,
them.
you better jinx yourself recording it too early.
And that was my thing. I was like, but
Yeah.
I wanted it to be ready. So when it
Oh yeah,
happened,
right
I could
away.
post it. So like I'm telling you, I had my jersey laid out
Yeah.
because I wear my gear. When I'm watching the games, I'm wearing
Yeah.
my stuff, but I wanted that specific jersey for the video. And I had to learn how to do the edits on TikTok. I'm telling you, I'm Googling how to get to that
Yeah,
point.
get the little green screen going or
All
whatnot.
that,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And yeah, I locked in for that. I'm glad it got a great response. That video was just fun. That was one of those things. I promise you, years ago, pre-quarantine, I didn't have the heart to post nothing like that. But today, I just don't care. Like it's fun for me. Even just doing the dance right
Yeah.
now, I would have been like, nah, I would have killed the vibe of this. But no, I'm cool. It's like it's fun.
Yeah, we
It's
need more laughs these days. Even being
yeah.
silly or goofy or offbeat. You were first of all, you weren't offbeat. It was totally on beat. But if you
Yo,
even being offbeat is funny to
it's
be
funny.
just sharing to friends, family, or whoever, a stranger. So
Yeah,
we need
yeah,
more laughs these days, and you
yeah.
did it well that
I
day.
appreciate it, man. I was hyped when it because I had to like record multiple times because I wasn't sure if I was gonna be on beat or not. I had to record it separate and with the song
Yeah,
playing. And then when I synced it up and it worked, I said, "Oh, we got one. This is it. This is it." So I'm
yeah,
glad it came out how it did,
that's
and I
awesome.
love that video. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Champ, for joining us on the show. I wish all the best for you in 2024. Keep making us laugh on IG, your Show Player One podcast, everything that you do. Hopefully, we'll see you back on a comedy stage once again. And yeah, just keep up all the amazing work. Continue raising the bar, my
I
friend. We're
appreciate that.
always so
Will
proud
do.
of you.
Thanks for having me, man. This is an honor. I was hyped that we had, when you asked me, I was like, yes, I'm doing this. And then when you had the dates, I was like, oh, this one, I'm busy, that one. And you were able to adjust the dates. I appreciate that because I was like, man, if I can't, then I might not make it on the season. It might not come back around, but
Yeah.
I'm glad. I appreciate that you had me on. This was fun. This was a good time for sure.
For sure, brother. Thank you all so much for tuning in. How We Bounce Back season 3 continues next week or whenever I decide to post because life can get busy like an RKO out of nowhere. Another new episode with Evie Abbott, a career actor in stage, film, and now showcasing her directorial work. Stay safe, stay healthy, don't lose faith because 2024 is your year. Peace and love. He is Champ. I'm James. See you all next week.